Hello my lazy ARPG players, are you lazy? Well, you're in the right place because today I'm gonna show you my Void Knight Autobomber build in progress in Last Epoch Season 2. It is 2025 in case you're watching it much later. Who it's for? Everyone. I think it's a fun build. I don't know if it's the absolute peak DPS, like highest DPS build in the game, probably not. But at the same time, I build it how I know to build it. It is my own build. I welcome your inputs in the comments down below if you know something that I don't and you know how to make it better. It's a lot of fun to play. Alright, so let's take a look. We obviously start as Sentinel. It's a Paladin kind of class, but we are not specializing as Paladin. We are a Sentinel. We are investing a lot of time into Vitality and increased health regeneration because that cannot be understated. I've put a little bit into Juggernaut to increase fire resistance, void resistance. Can you live without that and respec a little bit better? Yes, you can. Okay, yes, you can. We are increasing damage because damage is necessary, and avoiding to be stunned is also fantastic. That is a nice defensive. We are also increasing armor and damage taken from nearby enemies. Ultimately, all of this is just a foundation and just a kind of background for us to unlock Void Knight Mastery. Alright, Void Knight Mastery, first of all, unlocks the Erasing Strike. Erasing Strike is exactly what makes it from a full-blown walking simulator autobomber into a semi-autobomber, I suppose, because you use Erasing Strike, and it is tremendously powerful even early in the game. General approach is assemble as large a group of enemies as you can following you, run past them basically, and then erase them all with one massive strike. You see me doing it all the time. I barely ever use any other skills these days other than my auto-bombing capability, which we will get to in a second, and erasing strike. Alright, so what am I investing into here? I've increased void damage. Your general priority, obviously, you're a Void Knight, duh, mate. You're gonna be increasing void damage. At first, you will be interested in melee void damage, but generally, pay attention to that prefix. You're not interested as much in melee void damage. You're interested in global void damage or just void damage without any other modifiers, because we'll be relying on spells very, very soon. We are continuing to increase damage, flat damage. It's not just a melee damage, and health leech is going to be your main health regen. At the moment, while I'm leveling, especially on boss fights, I do feel that sometimes I'm a bit low on health and I have to rely on the health potions, of course, but as I develop this further, I'll increase health leech, I'll increase resistances. You will see that I basically have no resistances, which explains to you why I lose health quite easily. I mean, I don't care at this stage, it's a fun build anyway, and at this stage, I'm just acknowledging what is lacking a little bit, okay? Now, Abyssal Endurance is great. Increase health, increase void resistance, physical resistance, fantastic, yeah? What else? I invested a little bit into increased spell damage because Devouring Orb is a spell, but at the same time I'm considering a respec that I will check in with you in a maybe 10 levels or so, where I'm going to make this into a bit more of a killing machine, and that's where I'm going to respec this, so don't get attached to Chaotic Reverb. Temporal Velocity is a great skill because it is increasing vitality, it is increasing cooldown recovery speed by a quarter, which is fantastic, and also with 5 points invested, which I have, your Devouring Orb will immediately create a Void Rift. Void Rifts are also a damaging ability naturally. So now on to our auto-bombing capability, my friends. It is all about Devouring Orb. Devouring Orb is something that I have spec'd to be circling me as opposed to be shot at the location where you want to shoot it. It's circling me, and you will see in a second, it is spec'd in such a way that it can absolutely shoot also Abyssal Orbs. Abyssal Orbs are the ones that are kind of heat-seeking missiles, if you like. They're seeking enemies, and they're not just revolving around you and hitting everyone and doing void damage to them, but they also shoot off and hit other targets. Why don't we take a look at that a little bit? Overall, here in skills and specializations, you can see that unsurprisingly a lot of people level with Warpath. It is available to you at like level 2 or 3 or 4, something very, very early, like straight away within the first 5 minutes, and that is your bread and butter. You're going to be leveling with a two-hander weapon, high physical damage as much as possible, and once you convert that physical damage through spec into void damage, you also look for high void damage. If it's a flat void damage, not melee void damage, you keep that weapon simply because it will also empower your Devouring Orb going further. What am I doing here? It's a warpath. I am investing into reducing the mana cost so that I can just spin to win and not worry about mana. Of course, otherwise mana becomes a problem, so this is important. I'm increasing this is kind of an afterthought, it's not a priority, but I'm increasing moving speed right now of the warpath. I've invested into Void Spiral so that it does additional melee void damage. Of course, while I still have Warpath, it's melee damage a little bit, which is doubled with a two-hander, which at the moment I'm using. But once I'm fully reliant on the void damage, flat void damage increase, and Devouring Orb auto-bombing capability, I am considering to run around with a shield and a one-hander, by the way. Echo Knight. So this is an Echo Knight spec, especially at first. While spinning, you deal increased void damage, and you have a highest chance to create an echo at a location that uses Warpath very quickly on the spot for 2 seconds. Okay. Apocalypse Will, it's great. So all the base physical damage is converted to void. Needless to say, as we are leveling up our void damage, we care kind of less and less about physical damage. This becomes tremendously important. More of the Deep is simply a connecting point. We deal more damage against enemies affected with Time Rot, which is a damage over time ability, which is also kind of important, especially if you have a lot of items that are increasing your damage over time. And Abyssal Tempest, while spinning, you cast Abyssal Echoes every 5 seconds. Fantastic. Do I need to say more? Erasing Strike, I already said, it's a massive boom hit that will erase large groups of enemies. Dust to Wind, we're increasing melee area and Void Rift area. We are increasing Void Resistance shredding chance. We are taking Twin Cataclysm so that we can have an additional charge of Erasing Strike. This is probably the most important thing here, so that you can, if you have mana, you can go boom boom straight away. We are also taking Erasing Strike, dealing more damage over time, affects Time Rot as well, and Irish's Fall. Erasing Strike always creates a Void Rift at its impact location to do a bit more damage over time. Over here, I am increasing damage flat, and I'm also going a little bit to increase health on kill. That is just recouping the health. That's okay, not super significant. Devouring Orb, our pinnacle of our interest. Alright, my friends, so first we're going right and top. We are going via Void Adapt, which is doing more void damage and increasing mana regen. Thank you very much, that's great. We are going through Hollow Orb, yeah, that's fine. It has positive and negative effects to it. That's okay, we can survive this. And this is interesting. So this is where it becomes a true auto-bomber. Abyssal Emission is every second you're devouring orbs, they are releasing an Abyssal Orb that is heat-seeking and doing a detonation, seeks enemies. That's exactly what you're seeing on the screen, and it's great. Chaotic Torrent is also very important because it basically makes sure that Abyssal Orbs are cast a lot more often. Yeah? Great. Fantastic. We are not interested in shredding resistance further here, at least not just yet. We're going down here now, and we're making sure that the Devouring Orbs are orbiting us. We're not just summoning them behind us as we run, they continue orbiting us, shooting off those Abyssal Orbs, and Bob's your uncle, Robert is your uncle, everyone is happy. We are also increasing the damage of Devouring Orb and allowing it to orbit us further, basically hitting more enemies and reaching them further away from you. I have taken Cosmic Impact so that void damage is also dealt to enemies that are colliding with the rotating orb around you. And that's basically it. Another important thing that I used to rely on a lot more heavily in the good old days, and I honestly can't even remember why, but I remember that my Devouring Orb worked in tandem with Anomaly. Anomaly is releasing damage, like it's a wave of damage, yeah, but at the same time it also allows you to send enemies forward in time by 5 seconds and reactivating to bring enemies back to your timeline early. It hits enemies in a large area. It is basically, yep, Time Wave is releasing additional void damage once you are hitting it the second time. And Temporal Expanse, essentially we're increasing the damage, and additionally we are releasing a Time Wave straight away as soon as you cast Anomaly. So basically when you're surrounded by a lot of enemies, that's what you want to do, okay? That's what you want to do. Alright, so how to enable auto-bombing capability, you will ask me, Gyro, and that's the most important probably thing. All of these skills are important, it's all great, but how? Okay, well, let me show you. So you go into settings, obviously, you go into change input keys, obviously, and you are going to map keypad 4 or whichever, keypad 5, whatever you want, but keypad number, not a normal number, not 4, but keypad 4. That's very important. I keep forgetting about this, and sometimes I'm like, why is it not working? It's a keypad item. It's a keypad button. You're mapping it to the ability. At the moment, as you can see, I have only Devouring Orb mapped. Yeah, which is my 4, this one. Now, when you go into the area where it activates, what you do is you press keypad 4, then you press numlock key. You hold both of them and see yourself cast Devouring Orb a couple of times. And then you release both keys, the keypad 4 in my case, and numlock at the same time. And theoretically, it should start working. It will have a little bit stutter effect, especially if you're running. It's kind of like you run, then there is like a half a second stop, and then you continue running. You need to get used to it, and I think the overarching fun of this build and overarching fun of this spec is overcoming that slightly jittery kind of feel, especially at first. I can tell you that yes, you may experience that, and it might tick you off a little bit. I don't mind it at all. I barely notice it now. But basically, if it didn't work the first time, try to do it again. Press the keypad button, mapped button, press numlock, release together, release at once. And you should theoretically continue doing that. There are slightly janky, annoying things about Last Epoch, and it's a high-quality product, but it's not Diablo, it's not Path of Exile, unfortunately. And this jankiness sometimes is in the bugs, I suppose, that when, let's say, you have enabled this auto-bombing capability, the numlock thing, and you continue casting, if you switch out of the Alt tab out of this window, for example, of the game window to check whatever else, your email, whatever else you want to do, when you come back, it will be disabled. You need to re-enable it again. Another thing that I noticed as a bug here is that sometimes when you enter a peaceful area like this peaceful area, obviously your attack skills are disabled like they are now, they're all gray, but because you had that auto-bombing numlock autocast enabled, your character will continue saying, I cannot do that, I cannot do that, I cannot do that, while doing nothing. It's really, really annoying. How to beat that? Well, by using the first bug, by alt-tabbing out of the game, and then coming back, and then this auto-bombing gets disabled somewhere there on the background level, and you will just need to re-enable it again. A lot of talk. I hope you did enjoy it and appreciated a little bit of my effort here to convey every detail so that you're not confused as a beginner of the game. It's a lot of fun. I love Autobombers, and my plan is to continue developing it. If there is extra interest in this game from my community of Path of Exile, Diablo, any other players, please let me know, and I will invest extra time into this because I still play Moko on my mobile. I still do. But I am now playing this on PC as well and enjoying it tremendously. Let me know, give the video a like please before leaving, especially if you're still watching this. I really appreciate you. And I'll talk to you next time, likely about something either Moko or auto-bombing, my auto-bombing Void Knight and other specs related in the Last Epoch. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.